Well, remember all those drone sightings over military bases in the fall of last year? You remember we saw them all over the place, all up and down the eastern seaboard. They were over military bases. They were over people's houses. They were over government offices, thousands of sightings. The Biden administration saying that we don't know where they're from. We don't really have any idea at all. They might be Chinese. They might be Iranian. They might be commercial. They might be personal. We don't know anything about it. So President Trump was asked on Inauguration Day, on January 20th, when he was in the Oval Office, you'll recall, about these drones. And he turns to his chief of staff and says, hey, can we get this answer for the American people? And then we got the answer today, 8 days later, from Carolyn Leavitt, who is the White House press secretary. So just unbelievable. Eight days, we finally get an answer on this. Watch.
But is it anything in these drones? Is it anything that people need to be worried about?
No, I think it's terrible. I would like to find out what it is and tell the people.
And can you commit to some kind of...
In fact, I'd like to do that. Could we find out what that was, Susie? Okay? Yeah, why don't we find out immediately? I mean, I can't imagine it's an enemy, or there would have been, people would have gotten blown up all over. Maybe they were testing things. I don't know why they wouldn't have said what it was. They had a lot of them flying over Bedminster, which is interesting, right?
And with the events today...
And before I turn to questions, I do have news directly from the President of the United States that was just shared with me in the Oval Office. From President Trump directly, an update on the New Jersey drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy. A statement from the President of the United States to start this briefing with some news. And with that, I will turn it over to...
So not the enemy. From the United States, approved FAA, they knew about this. So the United States government knew about this, and it was approved by the Federal Aviation Administration. They wouldn't tell us this. They lied to us, and they obfuscated for how many weeks?
Well, actually, no, we did get Joe Biden saying, yeah, we got to look into this. And then nothing happened. We also got President Trump saying, yeah, we got to look into this. And then we got an answer. It's very strange. I don't understand this.
The one congressman that said that it was clearly from a Chinese mothership just off the coast of New Jersey.
Yeah.
He had authority. Remember that?
No, it was an Iranian mothership. Yeah. Wasn't it an Iranian mothership, or was it Chinese?
I think it was Iranian.
Oh, yeah. Some kind of mothership off the East Coast, and they're coming for us. Mm-hmm. And again, this all came at an interesting time when DHS was trying to get drone funding, right? So as part of that year-end continuing resolution for money, they were scrambling to get as much money as they could for their drone program. And oh my God, what better way than to get money than to scare the American people that we better get our own drone program in place, because all of these drones are flying over the United States, and these are enemies. These are Iranian. We should go to war with Iran, right? Turns out, no, they were American. They were not, had nothing to do with Iran, had nothing to do with China, nothing. And so remember when Kirby basically told us, basically was like hiding the information at the White House? Here's an example of John Kirby.
If the president as commander-in-chief believed, based on the information that he'd been given, that there was a national security threat at play here, or even a public safety threat at play here, he would issue the appropriate directives to not only law enforcement, but perhaps even the military if that was needed. I want to go back to something I said at the top. There has been no evidence of any of this activity in or near restricted spaces.
That's not what the senators said in the letter. They said, in fact, that they've been observed maneuvering their critical infrastructure, sensitive locations, including reservoirs and military installations, and cited a concern from law enforcement about public safety threats because a medevac helicopter was prevented from transporting a seriously injured patient for care because of the presence of these drones.
I stand by my opening statement.
So we have evidence that they're flying over military installations. We know they're over military installations. I'm going to stand by my initial thing, what I said earlier, even though you just...
And The FAA apparently knew about it, so he could have got some answers if he tried.
They didn't want to tell us.
He was trying to.
It was all part of a plan. Again, the military-industrial complex was pushing for more funding in order to scare the American people. They're Iranian drones. They're going to attack Trump. Remember, we warned you about this months ago. Don't believe the false flags about Iran. We covered that extensively here on the show. So now we have confirmation that in many ways this was a false flag. Maybe not as like dramatic and harmful as like the USS Liberty false flag, which killed Americans when the CIA teamed up with Israel and killed Americans on the USS Liberty in 1967. But this still was a false flag. I don't know how else to read it. If the whole purpose is to scare us,
and then you purposely withhold the truth, that's a lie.
That's a false flag by the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. Cut and dry, in my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong. But by the way, can we just give a shout out to the new White House press secretary? Because she was asked, she was asked by one of the reporters today in her first press briefing, would she lie? Would she tell the truth at that podium, or would she lie to the American people? Here was her response in her first day on the job.
Miller.
Thanks, Caroline. A question that we've asked your predecessors of both parties in this job. When you're up here in this briefing room speaking to the American public, do you view yourself and your role as advocating on behalf of the president, or providing the unvarnished truth that is, not to lie, not to obfuscate to the American people?
I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States. That is my job. And I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people. And that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that. But since you brought up Truth Seek, I would like to point out, while I vowed to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do the same.
And Caroline,
ouch.
Slay. She also said that she is going to reinstate 440 press passes for journalists who she said were wrongly revoked by the Biden administration. And they're opening up press passes to bloggers, influencers, other podcasters, because she says that the mainstream media no longer has the monopoly on information. They have not been trustworthy with it. They do not get to be the gatekeepers anymore, which is a big which is a big middle finger to them. And I love it.
You won't get a White House press corps application with that kind of mouth.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just joking. See, many people in the chat are saying, "Hey, is Redacted going to be in the White House press corps?" We're submitting our application for it, and we'll see if we're approved for it. And yeah, we'll see. But so it'll be interesting to see. It's refreshing to have a White House press secretary. She said we're going to welcome all. It doesn't matter if you're pro-Trump, anti-Trump. It doesn't matter. All voices into this White House press briefing room. By the way, that room is really, really small. So I don't know if you want to be in that sweaty little box room. But yeah, we'll keep our eye on that space. See how she does. See if she lies like Corinne Jean-Pierre.